Here is the Kyle Odom Manifesto read-through by Schizodumps. I'm telling you, this video is insane.
This video, I am going to be delving into the Kyle Odom Manifesto. And for context, if you don't know who Kyle Odom is, he was a college student who essentially snapped one day, and he shot this pastor named Tim Remington 6 times with a .45 ACP handgun. Okay, so that's the basic story. And the reason why Kyle Odom targeted this pastor is because he said...
Okay, mind you, I didn't know this until I watched this video, by the way. But a 4.5... Hold on, let me fix my hair. A 4.5... Hold on. Hold on. Let me fix it again. A 4.5 ACP... I was like, oh, that sounds smaller than a 9mm. I don't know anything about guns. But I'm like, bro, this sounds smaller than a 9mm, right? I was like, okay. But, bro, no, I looked up a 4.5 ACP compared to a 9mm. Bro, them motherfuckers are huge. Like, a 9mm is probably like this. Probably like this. A 4.5 ACP is probably like this. Insane, bro. Insane.
that he was a reptilian, basically. So, and what's really interesting about this situation is that the pastor who was the alleged reptilian, he got shot 5 times in the torso and 1 time in the head with a .45 ACP hollow point round. Okay, that was the round that was used during the shooting. And what's really interesting about this is that the pastor came out of the
Wait, he was shot what? 6 times?
Used during the in the head with a .45 reptilian. He got shot 5 times in the torso and 1 time in the head with a
5. Okay, so not only did he get shot with a 4.5 ACP, he got shot with a hollow point 5 times in the body and once in the head. What the fuck?
.45 ACP hollow point round. Okay, that was the round that was used during the shooting. And what's really interesting about this is that the pastor came out of the other side of this relatively unharmed. He returned to work like 2 weeks after the incident happened, and like the official story for how he...
Nah, this man gotta be an X-Man. See, this is why... Okay, so, like you heard him say, Kyle Odom thought this guy was a reptilian. This guy has to be X-Man. This guy has to be someone with... He might be Wolverine. I don't know, bro. But getting shot 6 times and then 2 weeks later going back to work...
He survived, or a part of the official story, which is really interesting, is the fact that like the news said, oh, okay, like the bullet entered his head, but it quote unquote missed his brain, which is really interesting. How like the guy who's supposed to be the alleged reptilian survived 6 shots of .45 ACP, and then of course after this whole situation transpired, he was promoted to a prominent government position as well, which is really interesting. So that is some sort of beginning context.
Bro, I didn't even know it was a government position. I thought it was like a position in the church.
For the whole Kyle Odom situation, right? Well, which is really interesting. So that is some sort of beginning context for the whole Kyle Odom situation, right? But I'm going to read off of this PDF, and I'll probably do this in multiple sections. I'll put timestamps, down below, and also I'll also put some download links of my my personal Google Drive, and also the Internet Archive also has a PDF of the Kyle Odom Manifesto. And this might be some old news to some people watching this, but I just wanted to do a Kyle Odom sort of video for the channel because it really does match a lot of the things that I talk about on the channel in relation to reptilians, in relation to how the control system is operated, right? Right, so to start off, in the beginning of this document, it says, who is Kyle Odom? Born and raised in North Idaho, grew up in a loving family, joined the Marine Corps after high school, developed an interest in science, went to school for a degree in biochemistry, won numerous scholarships and awards, graduated magna cum laude, then got invited to a prestigious university to work on genetics.
Wait, what?
Graduated magna cum laude, then got invited to a prestigious university to work on genetics. Check my personal documents. As you can see, I am pretty smart. I'm also 100% sane, 0% crazy.
All right, it is kind of concerning that he's saying that he's 100% sane, not crazy, but you got to give it to him. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is an intelligent guy. If he's like, if he went to college for like these things and got promoted and got scholarships to all these different places, and he's doing like these high level courses and getting invited to do like whatever, he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
This next section, it says,
and oh, I didn't think about this, but okay, he was a Marine, and then from the Marines he went to the university. So maybe they already had tabs on him when he was in the Marines. Maybe.
Why did he do it? My life was ruined. Ruined by an intelligent species of amphibian humanoid from Mars. I wish I was joking. Keep reading. They were here long before we ever existed. Their technology is millions of years more advanced than ours. I've seen them do things that defy all comprehension. They have a massive breeding stock of humans, which they breed and control from birth. They use these humans to live vicarious lives among us. They appear to be completely normal because they're good at imitating human behavior. The actual Martians live deep underground here and inside of the moon. They take control of quote-unquote wild human beings and use them as slaves. Don't believe me? Ask President Obama to take...
Yo. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if Obama was getting like, you know, like touched and probed by these reptilians. He just looks like a freak-ass dude. And ever since, like, I heard about the Michelle thing, and I don't know if Michelle's a guy, like, honestly, in my opinion, allegedly. I don't know if she's a guy or a girl or whatever. But, I don't know, Obama just seems like that like, libertarian, like, progressive, like, I don't know, like, he likes to explore, you know? Like, he wouldn't, he wouldn't mind getting, like, a rim job or like, a pegged or whatever. Obama just gives me that energy.
Take a lie detector test on this one. They tried to take me, but they were unable to control my mind. They've been following me ever since. I tried everything to get my life back. I begged, I bargained, and I threatened. Everything I tried to do was sabotaged. I attempted suicide twice, but they stopped me both times. My last resort was to take actions that would bring this to the public's attention. Read my story to learn what happened to me and why they targeted me. Right, and the next section of the manifesto here says, my story. And there's a timestamp here that says spring of 2014 in Moscow, Idaho. Everything started while I was at the University of Idaho. Spring 2014 was my final semester, and I was taking a heavy course load. I was very stressed due to the intensity of my schedule, so I searched for a way to cope. I discovered meditation, which seemed to help, so it became a part of my daily routine. As I learned more about meditation, I became interested in consciousness and our ability to affect it. I kept working on my meditation techniques and began achieving extreme states of consciousness. This continued until I encountered another being through meditation. It happened one night in February of 2014, and it was the most profound experience I've ever had. I was lying in bed meditating and then suddenly left my physical body. I entered a space that was completely dark and I had no...
Have you guys ever astral projected? Let me know.
...awareness of my physical boundaries/orientation. I felt very peaceful there until a blue light began to approach me. As the blue light got closer, I realized it was another being. Once I was in the being's presence, I felt an immediate sense of wrongdoing. It felt like I was being told, you shouldn't be here. I instantly conceded and felt guilty. Then I began to distance myself from the being. This had an impact on them and seemed to change their mind about me. The moment I began to distance myself from the being, I became overwhelmed by a feeling I can only describe as unconditional love. During this part of the experience, our minds became connected and I saw that the being was female. I then began to feel the utmost euphoric, comforting, and blissful feelings I have ever felt.
So he just got astral projectily fucked. And you can't even get real pussy.
It was incredibly powerful,
and this dude's he's getting orb baddies in the astral projection realm.
Life altering. Next thing I knew, I woke up. I had tears in my eyes and I couldn't get out of bed. I felt a profound sense of loss. Like I had
Oh my god. Okay, let me tell about my story. This is my weirdest dream, bro. Craziest dream. So this was back, I think I was in high school. I think it was my senior year of high school. And I forgot what I was doing, but I was sleeping. I was laying in bed and I had this dream. But this dream felt like This dream felt like no other dream I ever had before. Cause in this dream, there was like a light. It was like a thing, a presence. There was something, right? There was something. I kind of think of it as like an orb too, like in a way. To me, it just looked like a circle. But it was like, I think it was like a dark blue. For me, it wasn't a light blue. For me, it was a dark blue. And there's this scene, I think, in Attack on Titan, where it just flashes a bunch of animals. I think I saw something similar to that. But I don't know. I remember seeing like a whale, an elephant. And it just flashed like a bunch of animals like into my brain. It was so weird, so weird. I'm telling you, bro, I never felt a dream like that in my life. I woke up so scared. I snapped out of the dream. I woke up and I ran to my friend's house, which I've never done for a dream. Obviously, I've had nightmares before. I know what a nightmare is, but this felt so close and so real. It was such like a foreign feeling that I might have, I don't oh my god, it's been such a long time since then, but I felt like there was something in my mind, or something that was talking to me in my head, like almost that someone else came in my head. Oh my god, that sounds insane. But someone else came in my head and projected this image or this sensation or this feeling. Then yeah, I ran to my friend's house and I was like scared as fuck. And I was telling him, I was like, bro, like I just had a crazy dream, like I'm scared, like this and that. And he was like scared too. He's like, bro, like I'm not gonna lie, you're freaking me out too. And like this guy, he isn't like the guy to get scared, you know. And I was just chilling there with him like for a while, and we were just there talking. And I was like, bro, like I'm scared as shit. Like I was scared as shit. And then I came back home and nothing else happened, but I've never had a dream like that ever again. That was my strangest dream ever. The most strange dream I've ever had. It was so strange. Let me know if you guys ever had a dream like that, or let me know what that possibly could have been.
Lost someone close to me. It was very painful. A few minutes later, the experience left my mind against my will, and I went about my day. After that, I had no urge to meditate at all. Every time I even thought about meditation, the thought was stripped from my mind. When I finally did try meditating again, I was unable to achieve anything. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I knew it wasn't going to improve. Ultimately, I decided to give up on meditation and just focus on my classes. The remainder of the semester became exceedingly easy for me. It felt like I had tapped into some kind of power. I was exerting no mental effort, even though the classes had been extremely difficult before.
Okay, so this guy, he left his body, then he got telepathically loved by this orb. And now everything's easy to him, but he no longer has he no longer wants to meditate, or the feeling of wanting to meditate, where before he did. So, was this a bad spirit that did something to this man? I don't know. Or was it a good spirit? He probably thought it was a good spirit, like at the moment. He's like, oh my god, this is awesome. Like I'm not even stressed anymore about these classes, but we'll see.
I also began to have complex thoughts and a depth of understanding I had never reached before. About a month later, I started interviewing at the graduate schools I had applied to. Shortly after the interviews were done, I started receiving offers. I decided to accept the offer from Baylor College of Medicine to work on a PhD in human genetics. I was very excited about the opportunity to work at such a prestigious university. The future looked bright, and I couldn't wait to get started. All right, this next timestamp says July 2014 to October 2014 in Houston, Texas. Everything changed once I started the program. The moment I arrived, I could see flaws in every professor's research. My mind was so expanded that I could instantly understand the implications of entire research projects. Because of this, I was able to see the weaknesses in all of the available projects. This caused me to become very concerned about what I was doing, and I felt like I was wasting my time. I voiced my concerns to my advisor, and he casually brushed them aside. He told me, just have fun, it'll be fun. I kept trying to get motivated, but things continued to get worse. I started seeing flaws in the foundations of genetics and other fields. It got to the point where I couldn't stop thinking about them. To make things worse, no one else seemed to care, which really bothered me. All these issues made it impossible for me to continue, so I decided to leave. The day after I decided to leave, my life became a living hell. I couldn't sleep and my mind felt sapped. I was entirely at peace with my decision, so I knew something strange was happening to me. After a few days of this, 2 of the graduate students began reaching out to me, Eugene Lurie and Brandon Pekarek. I barely knew them, so it seemed unusual they would contact me. When I went to see them, they both kept pointing their finger at me saying pew pew, like they were shooting a gun.
Oh hell nah. Oh hell no.
They did this over and over, and I kept wondering what their problem was. Months after I left Houston, I was told that Eugene and Brandon were not human. They were tasked with making me into, quote-unquote, the next school shooter, as they called it. I imagine this is why many of our school shootings take place.
What? So, it looks like they were trying to subconsciously just make him think about shooting? But how is this gonna push him?
Anyway, things slowly improved after I stopped talking with Eugene and Brandon, but I was mentally exhausted. I tried to figure out what to do with my life, but I could hardly think. Eventually, I left Texas and started applying for jobs all over the country. A few months later, things took a strange turn. This next timestamp says October 2014 to August 2015 in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. In spring 2015, I finally secured an interview with a food company. I thought I was about to get something going with my life, but I was wrong. I couldn't sleep at all the night before my interview. I literally stayed awake the entire night, which had never happened to me before. I looked unrecognizable in the mirror the next morning, and my mind felt sapped, worse than it had in Houston. Needless to say, the interview didn't go well. I couldn't think, and I had extreme difficulty with normal conversation. After the interview was over, I suddenly felt fine and looked perfectly normal. I slept great that night and then made my way to the airport the next morning. This is where the story gets weird. On the plane ride back home, my seat was taken. I asked the flight attendant and she directed me to a new seat. Once I sat down, an older gentleman in front of me kept glancing back until he got my attention. As he kept looking back, my head began to hurt and tingle. The moment my head began to hurt...
Bro, at that point, I don't give a fuck. I'm pressing you. Or I'm complaining to somebody. I'll be like, bro, like, what's up? Like, what's the problem? Or I'm telling the flight attendant. I'm telling somebody. But, oh my god, what if everyone in the plane weren't human?
His lips curled up into this evil-looking smile.
Oh,
the pain and tingling in my head continued for the rest of the flight and got more intense as time went on. Every time I felt it, the man would start taking notes in the notepad. About halfway through the flight, someone else in front of me held up a newspaper that said psychic reading for like 5 minutes straight. It was blatantly obvious they were doing something to me, but I didn't know what. Once we landed, the older gentleman kept showing me his track phone, as if to say, get one of these. I had applied to several government agencies before this happened, so I thought this might be their way of contacting me. Out of curiosity, I decided to go and buy a track phone. I checked it every day to see if anyone messaged or called. About a month later, I got a text message.
Would you guys have gone and bought the track phone? I kind of just want a track phone to have a track phone, you know? Just kind of like dumb down life a little bit. I would still carry around my phone. But then I would, I don't know. I just want like flip a phone, you know. I've been obsessed with like, what's it called? Like physical media? No, hardware. Like more hardware. I kind of miss those days when we had like an MP3 player, a PSP, stuff along those lines.
From a man named John Padula. He invited me to come to church at the altar. It seemed like a strange place to be recruiting for government jobs, but I went anyway. After I got there and went inside, something felt very wrong. I felt as if my life was in danger, and I became so uncomfortable I had to leave. A couple days later, I started receiving text messages.
I would leave too. I'll be like, what the fuck? You want me to come to church? Are you about to sacrifice me? Like, is this a cult?
From Tim Remington. At first, they were innocuous Bible messages, but then he started threatening me. He sent messages talking about, quote-unquote, their power.
How do we go from Bible verses to threatening messages?
And other things. He did all of this through Bible verses so it would not look suspicious. I ignored everything until he sent one final text message, which simply said, angels. I thought nothing of it until helicopters started flying around my house all day and all night. At this point, I knew I was in trouble. I knew I needed to contact them, so I made an appointment to meet.
See, that might just be schizo shit, right? If you hear a helicopter, it might just be like it's doing something else.
Angels. I thought nothing of it until helicopters started flying. Final text message, which simply said, angels. I thought nothing of it until helicopters started flying around my house all day and all night. At this point, I knew I was in trouble. I knew I needed to contact them, so I made an appointment.
Dude, there's no way that they're buying or paying for like helicopter fuel or whatever just to circle this man's house like 24/7. There's no way they're that bored.
To meet John Padula for coffee. Little did I know he had no intention of meeting me. After making the appointment to meet John, something very bizarre happened. I received the most unnatural erection I ever had. It felt like someone was manually pumping blood into my penis. I don't know how.
Wait, what?
I ever had. It felt like someone was manually pumping blood.
Oh my god. Wait, I missed it. Oh my god.
I received the most unnatural erection I ever had. It felt like someone was manually pumping blood.
had to censor the word because YouTube detected this as a what?
Into my penis. I don't know how else to describe it. Immediately after that,
So he just had a crazy ass boner.
a song began playing in my mind. The lyrics went, "Sister, sister, he's just a plaything. We want to make him stay up all night."
What?
I had never heard of this song before, and I had no idea what it meant. I tried to ignore it and kept searching for jobs. A few minutes later, the song quit playing. Nothing else happened until I tried to go to sleep that night. As soon as I got into bed, the song started again. "Sister, sister, he's just a plaything. We want to make him stay up all night." As it turned out, they weren't kidding. I got literally 0 minutes of sleep that night. Every time I started to drift off, I was woken up violently. Then the song would play. When the sun came up, I gave up on trying to sleep and got out of bed. I was relieved at first because the song had quit playing. I thought the torture was over until a voice entered my mind. The voice said, "You're going to be uncomfortable. All you have to do is breathe." I sat there wondering what this meant until the voice spoke again. It told me I was going to, quote unquote, be sacrificed like Jesus and get beheaded.
What?
This threw
See, that's some schizophrenic shit, though. Like, at this point, if he was telling me that he's hearing things like this, I'm like, bro, you're schizo. Like, you gotta be schizophrenic. But the series of events, if they are true, because, right, we don't know if they're true or not. He did try to murk the guy, but obviously he couldn't. He didn't. But all the things that transpired until then, we don't know if they actually happened, right?
me into a complete panic. My heart began racing and I started to have a mental breakdown.
Whoa.
A few minutes later, some man knocked on my door. I answered and he gave me a pamphlet talking about the sacrifice of Jesus. My mind started racing out of control and I became completely delirious. I thought for sure I was going to die. My thoughts shifted to my family and all I could think about was seeing them again. They were in Albuquerque at the time, so I decided to buy a one-way ticket there. When I reached the Spokane airport, my panic subsided. Everything was fine until I got on the plane to Albuquerque. I sat next to this huge man who kept telling me telepathically that he was going to crash the plane. Every time after he spoke, he would sniff emphatically. I didn't know what to do, so I just sat there trying to stay as calm as possible. The quote-unquote man became angry about this and started touching my leg. The second he touched me, I could feel him inside my mouth.
Yeah, what are you doing if some big black dude just starts touching you? Are you throwing hands with him? If he starts grabbing up on your leg, sniffing at you like... and he's gripping on your shit and telling you telepathically that he's about to crash the plane. Maybe disregard, maybe you're hearing shit, right? If you're hearing in your head that he's about to crash the plane. But everything else, bro, that's valid to throw hands. Or tell someone, you know? Why didn't he do that? I don't know.
Fine. This caused me to panic until I was on the verge of causing a scene. Before I did anything, he told me to calm down and said, "You did a great job. You passed. Go enjoy your family. We have a job waiting for you when you get back." I thanked him and felt...
Ew, that sounds like he passed a test of getting touched. Like, was he just gripping on his leg? Or was he also gripping something else?
slightly relieved, but I had no intention of contacting him at all. My only thought was to get as far away from him as possible. After getting off the plane, I headed to the baggage claim. A huge group of them surrounded me there.
No.
I watched them cautiously. Then they all began sniffing at me. The sniff is something they do all the time. I think it has something to do with dominance. When I finally got my bag, I left the airport as fast as I could. My parents were...
So whenever you hear a group of people sniffing, like, I don't know how. Maybe like that. That means they're reptilians. Bro, I think yesterday I was watching I don't know. I was watching a Ron stream. I don't know what it was. But I was watching a Ron stream and he just started like randomly sniffing. And it kind of scared me because that was before, or that was after I watched the video. So I was like, is Ron a reptilian?
right outside waiting to pick me up. I was so happy to see them again. I gave them big hugs and told them how much I loved them. This was my last happy moment in Albuquerque, however. They followed us everywhere we went after that. Whenever I saw one, they would sniff at me to let me know it was them. They would also smile, laugh, and stick their tongues out.
Oh, hell no.
As time went on, they started coaxing me to go outside alone. I was scared to death they would kill me, so I refused. Eventually, they threatened to harm my family, which caused me to give in to them. I told them I would do whatever they want if they left my family alone. They responded by saying, "Go to church." I knew they meant the altar, so I agreed to go when I got back. When I went to the altar for the first time, the people acted very strange. It was unhuman. As I walked into the sermon room, everyone stared at me and began sniffing emphatically. Needless to say, I was scared as hell, but I took a seat. When the service began, a man came and sat down.
My strangest church experience, going to an evangelical church. That was insane. That was insane, bro. That was insane. Motherfuckers were just dancing, speaking in tongues, crying. It's an experience, bro. I don't know if it's a good one. I didn't think it was a good one. I stayed outside, bro. I went in there, and then I went outside. I'm like, bro, this is not church. Coming from a Catholic, bro, or being Catholic, I'm like, this is not church. I have no idea what this is.
Next to me. After he sat down, I began smelling something. It was a smell I had never smelt before. The only thing I can compare it to is a reptile and vinegar. After smelling it, I became very uncomfortable. I tried to remain calm and just sat there quietly until the service was over. When the service ended, they said, "You can leave now." After that, I knew I wasn't dealing with the government anymore. I realized that whoever I was dealing with was extraterrestrial, so I became very scared. I received no further instructions from them after that, so I began applying for jobs again. Even though I had done exactly as I was told, they still followed me everywhere I went. As time went on, they started harassing me day and night. I began to hear voices more often, and I began to hallucinate things that I knew weren't real. They also started playing with me sexually. Both the males and the females would play out their sexual fantasies in my mind. This came with random and uncontrollable erections as well as extreme anal stimulation.
Bro, what do you do if there was... Oh my god. If randomly at night you just start feeling stimulation in your butt, bro. What do you start doing? It's like you're feeling it from your dick, and then you're feeling it from your butt. You're getting double whammied while you're in bed. Randomly, and no one's there. What do you do?
Harassment continued for weeks and intensified as time went on. I did my absolute best to maintain my sanity and tried to avoid them. This worked for a while, but eventually I had a huge meltdown. One day I was in the bakery at Safeway when I got surrounded by a bunch of old men. Some of them looked at me and sniffed, so I knew it was them. They started stimulating my penis and anus simultaneously. Then they spoke aggressively. They said,
"In the middle of the Safeway bakery? No.
Humans are nothing more than the result of a successful genetic experiment. You are a threat to the way these people think, and you can no longer be free in society."
Humans are just a successful genetic experiment. Honestly, if that's the truth, I'm not surprised. But are we successful? Are we successful? Is this a successful human or genetic experiment? Is it? Is this what you call success? What was the point? What was the mission of it? To farm us? I don't know.
Your life is over. You are nothing but a toy. Your purpose is now to suck, in parentheses, their penis.
Bro!
They continued to say other explicit things that were so obscene.
Oh my god, they just made him his boy toy. Their boy toy, I mean.
I won't repeat them here. Before they finished talking, I became enraged. It took every ounce of willpower I had not to kill them. I left the store and tried to calm down, but it only got worse. The rest of the night, they continually stimulated my penis.
Bro, think about it. He withstood all this harassment, and he would see them all the time, and he decided to do nothing.
And I couldn't stop ejaculating. It got to the point where I was in
oh my god, he couldn't stop. Oh my god.
Serious pain. They finally stopped after I broke down and became completely distraught.
Bro.
I knew I couldn't take anymore, so I attempted suicide. I filled a charcoal grill with lit coals, put it in my car, and rolled up the windows. I reclined my seat, laid there calmly,
Wait,
and
what?
fell asleep. Coals. Knew I couldn't take anymore, so I attempted suicide. I filled a charcoal grill with lit coals, put it in my car, and rolled up the windows. I reclined my seat, laid there calmly, then fell asleep. I should have died, but they woke me up in an extreme panic, which caused me to get out of the car. As I slowly regained consciousness, I felt very upset to still be alive. I had no clue where to go at that point, so I decided to check myself into the VA. They shipped me straight to the mental ward, and I was admitted. Nothing improved while I was there. The medication they gave me did absolutely nothing. I just sat there surrounded by a bunch of psychotic people and became exasperated. I knew their goal was to ruin my life by making me into a crazy person. I became determined not to let that happen, and I started fighting back. After leaving the VA, everything I tried to do with my life was sabotaged. They didn't want me dead, but they also weren't going to let me live.
Hmm.
In desperation, I went back to the altar to ask them what they wanted from me. I didn't know what else to do. Before I tell you their reply, I need to make an important caveat here. I had endured so much abuse by this time that I was numb to them. The
I
details
mean, bro, yeah, it sounds like it. How come you didn't decide to do something to any of them before?
of what they've done to me aren't essential to the story, so I won't include them here. If you want to know more about what I've been through or more about them, write me. Just realize
Bro. Bro, am I hearing shit? Bro, I thought I heard the door opening. Oh my god, bro.
I've been tortured more than a POW. Their response was, "We want you as our slave." Thinking they were serious, I sat there waiting for them to do something. All they did was say, "Keep coming to church," so I did. After
So, okay, so they decided to do nothing. They decided to do nothing when you were there. When you were already there, they decided to do nothing. That doesn't make sense.
For a few more services, I found myself talking to Tim Remington face to face. He was telling me that I should consider becoming a minister. We were in mid-conversation when he suddenly revealed himself to me.
Bro.
I had no clue how he did it, but
He's chopped as shit.
it looked as if his human face became his real face.
Oh my god, they're ugly.
It happened for only 1 to 2 seconds, but I was able to draw a sketch of what I saw. His eyes really stood out, so they captured my attention. They were huge and bulging. The eyelids were darker green.
Why are they like... What do you say this? They're what, I mean, what do you call this? He looks like a Pikmin almost. Like a Koopa.
And the irises were yellow
Or no, what do you call that? The Japanese, is it called a Koopa? No. Japanese gremlin. Oh, what is it? Something like this. Kind of looks like one of these. Looks a lot like this.
flash brown with slit pupils. After witnessing this, nothing else happened. I continued attending the altar for a few more services, waiting for them to do something. They did nothing except for tell me to submit and surrender. I had no clue what they meant, so I left church and never went back. This next timestamp says,
So he just went back, decided to go again, and then he was like, nah, never mind.
August 2015 to the present time in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. After leaving the altar, they gave me some breathing room. They held back on their harassment and I began to recover. I decided to make one final attempt at a normal life by pursuing a career as a pharmacist. I started to take classes at NIC to finish up the prereqs I needed. I also started volunteering at a local pharmacy. Unfortunately, they followed me to school. There were several of them in every class I took. They made it impossible for me to study, and they continually harassed me, especially while I took tests. Even with all of this going on, I still somehow managed to get an A- in A and P during the fall semester. Sadly, my success was short-lived. The pressure this semester, spring 2016, is far too intense. Every time I go to class, they start manipulating my brain until I go into a blind rage. Sometimes they suppress my brain until I begin to black out. They also manipulate my heart rate and flood my body with adrenaline over and over again, making me extremely uncomfortable. The females stimulate my penis when they are close, and the males stimulate my anus. It's incredibly exhausting.
Bro.
I struggled to pass my tests, so they couldn't blame this on me failing out of school. I want to continue, but I simply cannot. Every moment I spend in the classroom is absolute torture. The classes themselves are extremely difficult without all this added pressure. The worst part is I received an interview for ISU's pharmacy program. Since I cannot continue with the classes, there is no reason to go to the interview. My chance at a normal life has been ruined. They've also been depriving me of sleep, so I don't have the strength to continue. I was too smart for my own good, so they decided to remove me from society. They were worried I might change the way other people think, which could lead to problems. Problems in the form of scientific...
Okay, so my question about that. Okay, so this guy, apparently he knew, his mind was expanded, he knew a lot about genetic research and this, and that, right? Like, this guy, He was borderline a genius. Why didn't you release the files? Where are the genetic revelation files? How come we never got that? Instead, we got the Reptilian Manifesto. Like, what? Unless they are out there and I just don't know about
revolutions. If we get much smarter as a species, we are going to become a threat to their existence. If you talk to me in person, you will see that I'm not crazy at all. The Martians are just so good at hiding in plain sight that no one would know they exist unless they reveal themselves. They are able to fool us so well that what I'm saying sounds impossible. However, they are 100% real. Realize their technology is millions of years more advanced than ours. Think about that for a second. Think about the advancement we have made in the last 100 years. Once you've done that, try to imagine what millions of years of technology would look like. The president is well aware of them, which is why I wrote him a personal letter. I hope he does something about it. I have done nothing wrong to deserve what's happened to me.
Bro, he wrote Obama a letter.
I tried literally everything to find a job, and they sabotaged me at every corner. Initially, I thought the right thing to do was kill myself. After attempting suicide twice, it became clear they weren't going to let me die easy. My last resort was to take actions to bring this to the public's attention. I hope something good comes of it. Just realize that I'm a good person, and I'm completely innocent. Also realize that the quote-unquote people I killed are not what you think. To make it very clear, Tim and John were not wild human beings. Wild humans equals normal people like you and I. Tim and John equals minds were controlled from birth by Martians. It's hard to imagine, I know. Nonetheless, it's all true. Why would I give up a career as a pharmacist to do this? I left out many details from my story. I wanted to write only the most critical events in order to make it coherent. If you want to know more, like how I discovered there are multiple species of them, feel free to write me. This next section is a Q&A section, and the first question is, why would aliens hide in a church? Same reason terrorists hide in mosques.
True.
If you're doing very bad things and you want to avoid getting caught, you will put up a front to make yourself look like a good person. And the second question here is, how do you know about their technology? I have seen them use it, and they have talked to me about it. This was how I learned about their breeding stock of...
Bro, we see this image of, like, cloning everywhere. I think at some point when things are being shown like this, like, frequently, they become reality, right? Or why does everyone have this same image of, like, cloning? This has to be reality somewhere. For some reason, bro, I think this is what Epstein, allegedly, in my opinion, had going on in his one ranch. What's it called? Whatever ranch. I think this is the type of shit he had going on.
Remote control humans. Physically, their humans are no different than us. They just lack a mind of their own. Why would they tell you so much? They value me because I'm smart. They were also very confident they could take control of my mind. Turns out they couldn't. Anyway, in the interim, some of us developed a personal relationship. They are very arrogant, so they told me much more than they should have. This allowed me to understand some of the things they can do. What else have you seen? I have seen them make things appear out of nowhere. One time I was sitting on a couch and a dollar bill appeared on my lap. Another time, while driving, they made a paper bag appear in my passenger seat. They used random, unsuspecting items so no one would think anything of it. I was alone both times this happened. I'm pretty sure they can pop in and out of this dimension based on other things I've seen. I'm also pretty sure they can overlap our reality with an alternate dimension.
What?
I say this because
What does that even mean? That there's, like, two realities going on simultaneously? So you can interact with things from a different reality? Or a parallel you that's slightly different?
I've gone into stores where I know the employees, and suddenly there are all new employees who I've never seen before.
I mean...
Some of the other things I've seen are so strange I literally cannot describe them. This all makes sense though. Their technology is millions of years ahead of ours, so it should be incomprehensible to us. Why did they target you? They started following me after I encountered the being through meditation. Since my mind was so expanded from the experience, they deemed me a threat to the rest of society.
So, do you think the orb was an affiliate of the Reptilians? Or it was someone who actually meant well by expanding his mind, and then the Reptilians just caught air of it? I don't know.
They thought I would change the way people think, so they decided to remove me from society. I began to have profound thoughts about genetics while I was at graduate school, which is another factor. If certain ways of thinking are allowed to exist, revolutions will take place.
And why didn't you reveal them? If that was the reason why they were after you, should have just revealed them if you were going to try to go out.
They could not afford for us to have a revolution in
Mind you, I think this guy's still alive.
genetics. If we did, we could eliminate diseases, cancers, and many other things that plague us. They need us to remain ignorant and continue struggling, otherwise we will become a threat to them. All right, this next section of the PDF or the document here has some noteworthy Martians, and I'll put the image up on screen so you can read sort of the names of the sort of alleged Martians.
Here, let's see some of the U.S. senators. Roy Blunt, allegedly, in my opinion, of course, according to Kyle Odom. Mitch McConnell. Oh, isn't that like a well-known one? Barbara Mikulski, Kelly Ayotte, Dan Lipinski, Mike Quigley, Jeff Miller, John Lewis, Israeli leadership, every single prime minister since 1948. There are too many others from Israel, too many to list. So you're telling me the Big BB is a reptilian? Wait, isn't BB dead? Apparently BB's dead. Because no one has seen him in a while. I don't know. He's probably just out there hiding somewhere.
But what's really interesting here is that if you look under the section of Israeli leadership, there's three columns here. There's U.S. senators, U.S. House of Representatives, and then there's Israeli leadership. And what was really interesting is that down here he says, there are many others from Israel, too many to list. So
holy, why? Why? Is it because they have that like chip on their shoulder? That they're like the God's like chosen people? Is that why? And it's like harder to talk down on them?
I don't know. It's kind of funny because it does seem to be that there is a Yiddish connection to these Martian reptilian entities, right? But in this paragraph right here, it says, this is by no means an all-inclusive list. Martians are ubiquitous. They exist at every level of society in every nation. Some have blue-collar jobs while others occupy positions of power. They control our government, our military, and corporate America as well. They keep track of every wild human on the planet and manage us like animals in a zoo. Our freedom is a carefully crafted illusion. All right, this next section is titled Early Civilization and the Bible. Genetic evidence has shown...
I do be thinking that. I do think our physical freedom is just an illusion. It is, bro, because think about it 100 years ago. You didn't have to register your vehicles. I think we talked about this last night. You didn't have to register your vehicles. Oh no, he was literally the one talking about it. In a previous video we watched. But yeah, we didn't have to register our vehicles. A long time ago, we didn't even have social security numbers. We didn't have phones that they could track us on. But there was different ways. There was a different ways of keeping you, like controlled. But now I feel like it's even a lot more like psychological, like a lot more mental. It's like now we're even mentally controlled with like phones and social media, but they had that back then as well, but now it just feels like a lot more intensified.
That modern humans originated in Africa about 200,000 years ago. Before civilization, we lived in tribes of hunter-gatherers. The hunter-gatherer lifestyle dominated for tens of thousands of years. As our ancestors began to master their environment, they migrated out of Africa. They spread out into Europe and Asia, then began settling near bodies of water. Eventually, we discovered agriculture, which led to the formation of the first civilizations. Around 3800 BC, there was an ancient Mesopotamian city called Ur. Ur was one of the most important city-states of the time period. It was located near the mouth of the Euphrates on the Persian Gulf. It was the southernmost Mesopotamian city, which left it exposed. This location on the outskirts of the ancient world made Ur an ideal place for Martians to visit. At least 2 species of Martians visited Ur, which was documented by its inhabitants. I was contacted by both of these species as well. The 2 species are, number 1, amphibian humanoids, and number 2, reptilian humanoids. The humans living in Ur created figurines to document what they had seen. If you search for Mesopotamia or Ur,
which one would you rather be, guys? A reptilian or amphibian?
Will find the sculptures these people made.
Yeah, bro, this is crazy. This is insane to me. Because obviously we know what a human looks like. And these are not human. And I think we do have evidence of people trying to elongate their skulls, but I don't think their eyes would look like this, or they would have a snout like this.
Some of them depict amphibian humanoids, others depict reptilian humanoids. They also made many figurines of people with gigantic eyes.
Bro.
I'm not sure what the people with gigantic eyes are. And then it goes into a list of bullet points here and says, I didn't have time to finish this document. The Bible was inspired by Martians, not God. There is no God. They created religion to keep mankind divided. God was a concept created by the Martians to control the minds of primitive man. Jesus was a megalomaniacal fraud, a liar, and a jerk. He was no savior, and he certainly wasn't unique. During Jesus' time, many other people emerged claiming to be the savior of all mankind.
This I do kind of believe. Not the everything else that he's saying, like religion. Well, you got to think about it, right? You got to think about it logically. Religion does control people. Religion can be used as a way to control the masses. Especially if you're Catholic, especially if you're frequently going to church, the pastor has control over you. If you're like not a self-thinking like individual, you're gonna let yourself get controlled. Or if you believe too much like in the Pope, and the Pope can pretty much, make you think whatever he wants. Well, not whatever he wants, but he can push you in that direction to think a certain way. Same thing with other religions, of course. If it's in the book and people see it as scripture, they're getting controlled by it. Not saying that's bad, but I'm saying that it's possible that they did this to separate people, to create separation instead of unity. It is a possibility. And that's coming from a Catholic like me. It is a possibility. And I do believe that there were multiple people claiming to be like Jesus. I do believe that. But the only thing that I do know about Jesus is that a certain group of people hate him. Which makes a really interesting case.
The Martians saw this as a problem for their Jewish traditions, so they decided to use Jesus to their advantage. If they sacrificed Jesus as the Messiah, then people would stop proclaiming themselves to be a savior. Voila, problem solved. The only good thing religion ever brought us was traditions. Traditions bring us together as families, as friends, and as a species. One more thing, God existing as a trinity comes from the Martians. Write me if you want to know more. All right, this next section...
Yeah, like how is he going to say that? How is he going to say that and then he doesn't expand further on it? That pisses me off.
Is titled Our Plight. And underneath the title it says, I didn't have time to finish this. Every president finds out that Martians are real. President Eisenhower warned us about them. President Kennedy stood up against them. They're the reason we have so many languages and so many nations. They constantly pit nations against each other, which makes a lot of sense. If we are constantly at war with each other, we'll never make progress as a species. This is how they maintain complete and absolute control. Have you ever wondered why a war zone is also known as a theater? It's because war is entertainment, that's why. Entertainment for whom? The Martians.
Facts. Bro, we don't gotta be in Iran, bro. We don't gotta be in Iran. We don't. Iran posed no threat to us. If anything, we posed a threat to Iran. They should have attacked first. If anything. They weren't doing shit. They weren't doing anything to us.
They enjoy watching conflict. They enjoy watching us suffer.
Yeah, there's definitely people who enjoy conflict. To see shit go down. And just like Squid Games, there's definitely stuff going on like that too. There is this story that I saw, the Rotten Mango, the Rotten Mango, if you guys know who she is. It's like this little Asian girl, she be telling like scary stories. She was talking about like this cult, this like sex cult. And there were like rich people, a bunch of rich people would join and they would just have like huge orgies and stuff like that, right? Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You think it only goes that deep? Like sex orgies? No, bro. Look at the red rooms. Don't you think that war is just a bigger scale of red rooms that make you money? War for someone is entertaining. They get a thrill of bombing that city and winning. and making money off of it. Bro, this world can be fucked up. It can be fucked up. And I think the more power you have and the more money you have, the more corrupted your soul gets, and you want these things. And I don't think you can reach these mass levels of wealth without getting your soul corrupted, bro, or doing someone wrong, or doing some things wrong. I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. Like, the more I think about it, the less I think it's possible.
And they enjoy watching death. It is one of their most basic needs. When you know about their brain, this makes perfect sense. They try to keep us in a constant state of fear by filling the news with horror stories. This is another one of their most basic control mechanisms. They constantly stir up controversy to keep us divided. Black Lives Matter, violence against police, Islam versus Christianity, immigrants taking our jobs, Zika, etc. Yes, they can create viruses. Some of the top officials in our government/military are their pawns. The Martians read them and force them to do whatever else they want. Ask President.
I thought this when he said Christianity versus Islam, bro. So right now there's a huge thing going on, right, with Nick Fuentes and Dan Bilzerian, and they're saying that Nick is a Fed. I don't think Nick is a Fed. I do think he's like some type of Discordian though. Cause bro, why is he always getting people riled up? And I feel like his relationship with Sneeko like just proves it. Cause aren't they supposed to be like best friends, but they're always like talking shit about each other? Like in a non-friendly way. I've never seen like friends like have I? I don't know. Like I talk shit to my friends, you know? But to be like talking about their faith, I don't care like enough about their faith or what they believe in to be like constantly like bothering them about it or calling them a like things like about their faith or whatever. I don't know. They do have a weird relationship, and I feel like that it makes Nick sus. It makes Nick sus. Like he can't keep a normal relationship, which is sus. But I don't know what's going on with him. He's definitely not a Fed because he went through a time where he couldn't fly. He went through a time where he was dead broke. He didn't have money. He couldn't get money. He couldn't have a bank. He was like Andrew Tate times 10. So I don't think he's a Fed. He could be something else. I don't think he's just a normal dude though. For sure. He's not a normal dude.
Obama, if you don't believe me.
I'm a normal dude. Look, bro. I got some anime posters. I got my Sony. Look, I'm dirty as fuck. Bro, you think... Bro, Nick has a whole ass studio. I don't remember... Look at your oldest Nick video, right? How do I... Nick Fuentes first stream. Bro started streaming, I think, when he was in what do you call it? When he was in college. He was doing shows in college. Where do they recruit people? In college? Not the Feds, but recruit people in general, you know, because they recruit people to secret societies. They recruit people to the, what do you call it? To the school, what's it called? Skull and Cross? Or what? Cross and Skull? Whatever it's called. Secret cults like that. I don't know. Ever since like this, wait, why is his haircut look crazy here? I don't know. His background just looks sus. Like, yeah, it's just a green screen, but I guess it's to look professional. I don't know. His background always felt like soulless. I don't know. I feel like there's something is up, but I don't think he's a Fed. I don't think he's a Fed. And then, I don't believe, bro, for some reason, I like Nick more than I like Dan. Obviously, because he's a closer age, and, you know, he's a lot more relatable. But Dan's been a liar since day one. If anything, Dan feels like more of a Fed than Nick. Doesn't he? He lied about everything. His life is a lie. And this man's a grown ass man. How old is Dan Bilzerian? Whatever, I didn't spell it right. He's 45. He's a grown ass man still lying. Still lying about shit. I don't believe that man. I don't believe anything that man says.
To Martians, humans are nothing more than a plaything. You might be wondering, why do they do this to us? It's because we rejected them many times. In ancient Mesopotamia, they tried to live among us. It never worked out no matter how many times they tried. This
Why would they want to live among us though? And then why didn't they just zap like Mesopotamia? They like it or what? Do they love humans this much? It's confusing. Like even this is a confusing relationship.
caused them to
So many questions.
develop extreme animosity towards us. Consequently, they have a vendetta against every wild human. The actual Martians themselves have zero self-esteem. This is why they live vicariously as humans. They can also take control of wild human minds. I have seen them do this to multiple people, and they've done it to me as well. The only time they're able to take control of my mind is when they wake me up in the middle of the night. They make
Wait, so is there... They probably have like different classifications of humans. You know, they're like elite human, wild human, tamed human, cream of the crop human. I don't know.
me say extremely
Dumbass human.
strange things and flail my body parts around like a puppet. They tried to take complete control of my mind on multiple occasions while I was at school. They were never able to. This angered them severely, which is why they caused me to drop out of school. I have no options left. They have no intention of letting me live a life. This next section is titled Martian Brain and Behavior. I've observed their behavior for almost a year now. Consequently, I've been able to make several deductions about them. The first deduction is based on their primary characteristics, which include: number 1, they are hypersexual.
Oh.
Number 2, they are hyper-aggressive. Number 3, they are fearful and paranoid. In the human brain, the amygdala is responsible for all of these characteristics. Therefore, Martians must have an analogous structure, and it must be greatly enlarged. The morphology of their brain is also markedly different than ours. I know this because I've seen what the amphibian humanoids look like. The males are extremely aggressive. In their society, there is only one thing, and that is power. Whoever is the smartest, biggest, and strongest wins. One time, I was talking to a young male who kept trying to intimidate/scare me. He saw that I was still confident in myself and immediately became discouraged. He stopped what he was doing and said, "You think you're better than me," then hung his head and walked away. I told him that wasn't true, but he wouldn't listen. After this, every time I encountered one of the males in public, they would attack me mentally until they destroyed my self-esteem.
Damn.
They did this because they are scared to death of my intelligence. The only way they have the confidence to talk to me is if I am scared for my life or completely despondent. To the males, everything is black or white. There is no middle ground. They are power-hungry megalomaniacs obsessed with control. If they are not 100% in control of every situation, they panic. If something happens they aren't anticipating, they get very upset. They hate surprises. I know this because I was smart enough to trick them a few times. To recap, the males are: number 1, megalomaniacal; number 2, obsessed with sex; number 3, extremely aggressive; number 4, fearful and paranoid; number 5, power-hungry; number 6, obsessed with control. Sound familiar? Who else do you know that has these characteristics? If
It does sound crazy. It does sound familiar.
you answered God from the Bible, you are correct. Martians are responsible for the God myth. Martians may have created humans as they claimed, but they are certainly not gods themselves. They are just another intelligent species that evolved on a neighboring planet. There is no God, there is no heaven, there is no hell. Earth is as close to heaven as we'll ever get, and we are
Really?
letting the Martians ruin it. They are going to destroy Earth just like
yeah. Bro, think about it. Earth could be heaven, but it's just like a group of individuals that make it hell. Like, we could have a paradise on Earth, but at the same time, we can have hell on Earth. Earth is like the most interesting place in the world. Right? Because imagine if in a reptilian society, everything's probably fucking perfect. They have nothing going on. They have nothing different going on. It's probably ran extremely efficient. Boom, boom, boom. This. Maybe that's why they're here. Because they find it entertaining.
they destroyed Mars if we let them. Our survival rests in their hands for the time being. Alright, this next section is titled Origins Part 1.
Oh, shit.
In order to talk about life on Mars, first we need to discuss where the solar system came from. Before our sun or any of the planets existed, our solar system was part of a giant molecular cloud. The birth of our solar system began when a gravitational disturbance occurred in this cloud. As gravity took over, the mass of the molecular cloud began collapsing on itself, which led to the formation of our sun. As the sun formed, a huge mass of dust began collapsing around it, which flattened out into a protoplanetary disk. The material of the protoplanetary disk then began to accrete and coalesce. The process gradually led to the formation of the planets, moons, asteroids, and comets in our solar system. During this time, the solar system was an incredibly hot place. The surface of the rocky planets, Earth and Mars, was molten. The early solar system was also swarming with comets and asteroids, which constantly bombarded the planets and their moons. The timescales of these events were massive, occurring over billions of years. In order to understand Origins Part 2, you have to understand the fundamentals of cosmology. And this next section is titled Origins Part 2.
Wait, so how did water get there if they were just molten?
Once you feel comfortable with the basics of cosmology, let's continue from where we left off. You'll recall that Earth and Mars were molten and being bombarded by asteroids. Earth and Mars developed from the same material, and they are positioned next to each other, so it shouldn't surprise you that their composition is similar. Both have iron cores and both have volcanoes. Because of this, it follows that Mars developed an early atmosphere very similar to Earth's. An atmosphere is one of the key requirements for biological life to exist. The other key ingredient is liquid water. As Mars began to cool down, it started to develop an atmosphere. Since Mars is further from the Sun, its surface cooled much faster than Earth's. Eventually, Mars cooled down enough that liquid water could accumulate on its surface. Once this happened, biological life began evolving on Mars. This likely occurred before the Earth even had liquid water. Before we talk about life evolving on Mars, it's important to understand the concept of convergent evolution. One of the best examples of convergent evolution comes from mammals. Mammals in Australia evolved into marsupials, whereas mammals in North America evolved into placentals. This is an example of how two isolated populations can evolve similar traits, even though they exist in completely different environments. With this in mind, let's talk about evolution on Mars. Reptiles and amphibians evolved here on Earth, so convergent evolution tells us they should have first evolved on Mars. For whatever reason, the reptiles and amphibians of Mars developed intelligence while Earth's did not. By the time dinosaurs evolved on Earth, the Martians were already a technologically advanced civilization. They were so advanced they survived their
How did he come to that conclusion?
own planet's demise and colonized the Earth. They also converted the moon into a home, and I'm fairly certain they caused the mass extinction of the dinosaurs. How else do you colonize a planet that is covered with giant monsters who want to eat you? Anyway, there is loads of evidence to back this up. Look into it. Look into the orbit of the moon, and the fact that it does not rotate at all. Look at the fact that the moon is hollow. Look into the fact that there are underground bases in mountains and under the oceans. They don't belong to us. They are inhabited by Martians. The truth is out there. It's just submerged in a sea of disinformation. All right.
Ooh, that little picture of the underground tunnel, it reminds me of what's that show called? The Promised Neverland, the anime, the one where the kids, where they're all like being fed to what do you call like these demons? That's a crazy ass show.
This next section is titled Martian Technology. Nikola Tesla was one of the most brilliant men of all time. He laid the foundations for modern society
Yeah, bro, shout out Tesla, man. Imagine talking to him. He would probably think you're straight up dumb. Most of us probably couldn't even keep a conversation with Tesla. Look at that. Like, how did he even think of this?
Inventing alternating current. If it weren't for his inventions, we would not have any of the luxuries we now take for granted. Tesla was light years ahead of his time in terms of his thinking.
Crazy.
Not only did he create AC power, he also invented radio, discovered electrogravitics, and stumbled upon the waves Martians use to communicate. Sadly, many of his discoveries are forbidden knowledge, so they have been hidden. The species who run this planet cannot allow us to have the same technology they do. If we did, we would become a threat to their existence. This is why Tesla's work was seized by quote-unquote FBI agents immediately after his death. No one knows what happened to it. Fortunately, Tesla spoke enough about what he discovered that we can still gain a glimpse of what he knew. As Tesla said, the key to everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. If you know anything about physics or chemistry, then you know that everything is composed of atoms. Atoms are composed of smaller particles called protons, neutrons, and electrons. The protons, neutrons, and electrons themselves are composed of even smaller particles, and so on. The smaller you get, the stranger things become. Ultimately, matter and everything in the universe can be thought of in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The computer you're reading this on, the chair you're sitting in, even you, everything can be viewed in terms of waves and energy. Keep this fact in mind as you read the rest of this article. The wave in terms of waves and energy. Keep this fact in mind as you read the rest of this article. The waves Martians use to communicate are something Tesla called non-Hertzian waves. These waves are also known as longitudinal waves or transverse waves. According to Tesla, non-Hertzian waves are much more efficient and reliable than Hertzian waves, aka electromagnetic waves. They are capable of traveling vast distances with essentially no signal attenuation. Every other type of wave, radio for example, loses signal strength the further they travel from the source. You already know this from experience if you've ever traveled long distance in a car. Once you reach a certain distance, you can no longer listen to your local stations.
Oh yeah, facts.
With this distinction out of the way, let's continue by discussing how Tesla discovered Martian communication signals. In 1899, Tesla moved to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Colorado Springs. He built a receiver and
Wait, so Nikola Tesla was American, right? Where was Nikola Tesla born? He was born in... Oh, he was Austrian. He was born in Austrian Empire, now Croatia. So he's Croatian. To Serbian parents. Oh, I thought he was American, but I should have known. No way. No way bro was American. Also Tesla, the name Tesla is fire. That's a fire ass last name.
Transmitter that could send and receive non-Hertzian waves. He installed this equipment on the roof of the hotel and began receiving signals of an unknown origin. He claimed to be talking with Martians, but no one took him seriously. It couldn't make more sense though. If non-Hertzian waves are superior,
what were they saying though? Or was it just like a frequency?
Then it's obvious the Martians would be using them. As Tesla continued with his research, he began to understand the sheer power of wave technology. The following quote demonstrates this. He could alter the size of this planet, control its seasons, guide it along any path he might choose through the depths of the universe. He can make planets collide and produce his suns and stars. His heat and light. He could originate and develop life in all its infinite forms. Nikola Tesla from man's greatest achievement. It's kind of scary to think about controlling planetary bodies with wave technology. Imagine the devastation that could be caused if it were used for destructive purposes. Say, for example, colonizing a planet. Imagine back to the days of the dinosaurs. The Martians wanted to colonize our planet, but the dinosaurs were in the way. Martians have the technology to harness planetary bodies, so imagine them sending a massive asteroid on a collision course with Earth. Voila. Dinosaurs are dead, colonization can commence.
Bro, what is that give, bro?
Next subsection is titled Biological Species and Electricity. Everything in our bodies runs on electrical impulses.
Right.
Our brains operate over a wide range of electrical frequencies. Everything we experience in life is simply the result of electrical activity.
See, this is facts. This is facts. Like, if you don't believe anything in this whole thing, this is like the most believable thing. Like, this is the thing that I would be most inclined to believe. This is what sounds most factual to me. That's still kind of like not seen as like this isn't stuff that you would learn in college, is it? Is it? I feel like this is kind of basic knowledge, right? Everything's just frequency, vibrations, and right, yeah.
To be more precise, everything we experience is the sequence of a series of action potentials occurring in the central nervous system. Think about that for a second. Every thought, every perception, and every action are all governed by electrical impulses.
Yep.
I won't try to expand on this here, but it's incredibly important to understand the nervous system and how it works. If you care to learn about the nervous system from a video, I highly recommend checking out Crash Course on YouTube. If our perception occurs due to electrical impulses, it follows that it can be manipulated with the right technology. This is why Martians are able to directly alter our perception. They have the technology. They can trick our brain into visual and auditory hallucinations, smelling, tasting, heart rate fluctuations, erections, and every other CNS event. This provides a full explanation of how they manipulated my penis as described in my story. Read about the science behind an erection here if you're not convinced yet. So
no, think about it too, bro. The worst dudes in history, for example, like Epstein, he's the freakiest dude ever. Like, why are they so inclined to be more like sexual, you know? Like, why is he so sexual? It's almost like hypersexuality is linked with evil. Like evil or I don't know how to say it. What's up, Dak Chip? I thought your name was Dark Chip, but it's Dak.
As you can see, Tesla was right. Energy, frequency, and vibration allow us to control the world around us. The Martians have known this for eons, and they use it against us. As I said before, they own a massive stock of humans, which they breed and control from birth. Since they have the technology to control a central nervous system, they can operate their humans like remote control toys. Unfortunately for us wild humans, they can control us too. All right, so for this section, there's some images that are sort of at the end of the document, and there's this sketch of the sort of like reptilian or amphibian humanoid Martian that he saw, that he was able to sketch out. And there's a few like handwritten descriptions here, and he says huge eyes that stuck out of the sockets, a yellow/brown iris, a projecting muzzle with 45-degree angled nostrils. Huge.
Dude, imagine this thing just staring at you. Like one day, this thing is just making you have the most direct wood, and then the next morning he's like, "Oh, let's go to breakfast," and you're scared out of your, like you're just scared as hell, and then he just shows you his face and he looks like this.
Mouth, dark green skin. The only part I really saw well was the eyes. And then there's a close-up of the sketch in the second image.
With that pinhead, bro. How can you have such a big brain or be so intelligent with a pinhead like this? Like, what's the purpose? What was the genetic purpose of having a pinhead like this? This must work like an antenna or something. This has to be a built-in antenna.
Third image here shows the sort of mouth or the snout right here, and then it says this is what their teeth look like.
Can I send you a title on YouTube? A video title on YouTube?
Elmo rules the
Sure. If only if it's good.
World, something they kept saying to me. I assume they said this because their head looks like a Muppet. Again, they only revealed bits and pieces to me, and very briefly. Thankfully, I have a photographic memory, so I was able to remember what I saw. Although, I only remember the general appearance, because each time I saw them, it was very brief. They would smile at me in stores and reveal their mouth/eyes/nose all separately, never together at the same time. Alright, so for this section of the video, I'm going to be talking about some of my personal thoughts about this whole thing. And first of all, I just want to say that I 100% believe Kyle Odom for two main reasons. Number one is whenever he shot Tim Remington, okay, 6 shots of 45 ACP, no human being survives 6 shots of 45 ACP and walks away as unscathed.
Yeah, bro, look at this. I think this was, they said that I think he said it was this dude 2 weeks after he got shot 6 times with a 4.5 ACP, 5 in the body, 1 in the head. There's no way you're walking out like this. There's no way.
As Tim Remington did, okay? So that is like salamander levels of like
crazy.
Regeneration, in my opinion. So that's the first thing. But the second thing that I want to say is that the manifesto is very well written. It's very articulate. It's very cohesive. It's very...
Okay, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it is. But I think schizophrenics can be like cohesive, and they can be... They don't have to be like, you know what I mean? They can be cohesive, I would imagine. I feel like there was a lot of people that were geniuses that were cohesive. Alright, bro, what is this? It's very fun. Bro, so you want me to watch, Dak Chip, you want me to watch a video from 2 years ago called New Year Standoff from a guy called Coco Brad. What is real? Bad monsters try to watch a movie. The first and last episode of our podcast. Chaotic shorts with bad monsters. It's very funny. Yes, but it's very funny. Give me 3 good reasons why I should even watch it. Give me 3 good reasons, and I'll think about it.
Very coherent, the way that he wrote it. There's nothing in the manifesto that makes me think that he's like a psychotic person who's like out of his mind. He definitely has... he definitely put like a very clear sequence of events in the manifesto, and he definitely has a lot of good things that he uses whenever he explains himself in a lot of like the later sections after he talks about his story and about what happened to him. So those are the 2 main reasons that I believe him. But like another thing too that's really interesting is the fact that he talks about a lot of the things that other people talk about. Whenever he talks about the reptilians living underground here and on the moon, this is something that David Icke talks about it. Alex Collier talks about it. Phil Schneider talks about this. Max Spears talks about this. So like there's multiple people that have talked about that same thing about like reptilians living underground and underground bases, and the moon being hollow. You have the moon matrix. Being something that he's referring to. So whenever people start saying the same thing, that's how you know that there's something real going on, that they're not just making it up. Okay, so that's the first thing. But the second thing that's really interesting here is that, whenever you look at how he got like that sort of mental power boost after that meditation experience with the blue light being, I have no idea who the blue light being was. Maybe it was an archon, maybe it was someone who was trying to gatekeep the realm or something, but I have no idea what that was. Maybe he got like an IQ boost from that being, which is really interesting how he talks about how he...
the strange part about that orb thing is that yeah, he might have got like an IQ boost, but it made him not want to meditate anymore. It's like why did it make him not want to meditate anymore? Was meditating like that important? That the orb didn't want him to do that?
Acquired some mental power that he was able to tap into after that meditation experience. And I think that that is something that really gets people targeted in this realm. I do think that, gang stalking and targeted individuals are definitely a real thing in this realm. And I think that people who have a sort of propensity for psychic abilities, people who are extremely psychic, they might send out stronger pings, and they might be like a higher threat level to.
See, that's oh, wait, what did I do? See, I think that's kind of true. That people that are more intelligent and maybe they use like more of their brain, they just have like maybe their synapses like create more electricity, or yeah, whatever, like he said, like they create like higher pings. Maybe it does send like a signal that people can sense. I would imagine if you're using more brain power, then yeah, you're using more, it's going to be more noticeable. It's kind of, I imagine it's kind of like um kind of like Dragon Ball Z, or kind of like hockey, like by seeing a person or by being in the presence of the person that how much hockey they have, or how much aura, I don't know what you would call it, or their power level, like in Dragon Ball Z.
Expanded, or people who are more psychic than most people, they're definitely targeted in this reality. And like another thing too is if you look at like a lot of the like the manipulation that he experienced, like the hearing the voices, having like the random erections, right, having the like the visual hallucinations that he knew weren't real. I think a lot of that is Project Bluebeam technology that they use. And I think
yeah, bro, oh my god. So I did a stream long time ago. I think I'm gonna have to revisit it because now I'm posting VODs on the what's that one place? Is it in Canada? Canada weather control place control what's it called? Climate control. I forget what it's called. Oh no, Alaska. I think it's Alaska. Alaska climate control. Manipulation, right? Manipulation. On this thing. We did a video and we did some research on this thing. And I don't know, yeah, the harp. I don't know if people still believe that's a conspiracy if we know it's true. Like, there's been multiple governments and there's been multiple countries that have done weather manipulation. Is that still a conspiracy? I don't think that's a conspiracy anymore. I think that's just true. I think that's just real life technology. Because I don't think it's that hard. Right? It doesn't, weather manipulation doesn't seem like that hard of a thing to do. Especially like rain. Rain doesn't seem like that hard of a thing to do. Anyways.
Some of it might also be telepathy from these reptilian entities as well, right? But I think another really interesting takeaway, from this whole situation is the fact that, this is the one that really offends a lot of people. Anytime I talk about this subject on the channel, it really offends a lot of people. But if you look at the fact that
if you're touchy about your religion, you're not gonna like this.
Like the reptilians or the Martians inventing religion as a way to control humanity, that is something that is, I think is 100% true. I think that, especially when you look at there's a couple of parts of the manifesto that talks about
bro, are you schizodac chip? Super Sentai 45th anniversary hero getter? What does that even mean? Bro, what does that even mean? What are you saying? Bro, what are you saying to me right now, Dak Chip? Japan's Power Rangers? Oh. Oh yeah, bro. Dak Chip, are you on the spectrum?
like subtle references to the Martians being connected to the Yids and the Happy Merchants. Okay, that there is a connection there between the Martians and the Israelis, the Yids, the Tiny Hats. Okay, and because he talks about how like there are many others from Israel, too many to list. Whenever he talks about the noteworthy Martians, and he also talks about like there is like this sentence in the manifesto where he says that Jesus was a threat to their Jewish traditions, so they decided to use Jesus to their advantage.
See that? Oh my god! I was right. No, sorry. No, I'm just playing, bro. Damn, see, this is what I meant, bro. This is what I meant. They hate on Jesus. Religion can be a scam. I fully believe that religion can be a scam, but I think Jesus' teachings was not meant to be a religion. It was not meant to be a religion. It was just meant to be not gospel, but a way to live life. A rule book to live life. Oh my god, bro. Why was there back maybe last year, there was this show? No. It was this ad on YouTube or somewhere else. I don't know. I think it was an ad on YouTube. It was like, a life doesn't come with a rule book. So come here and then we'll teach you this and that. I don't know. It was like, I think like a helpline thing. Bro, the Bible is literally a rule book. You can read the Bible and live like that, and that's the rule book for life. So you won't see the video. I'll take a look after this. We have 3 more minutes of this.
This is also something that I've mentioned that I think offends a lot of people, is I talk about how, Jesus is controlled opposition for the Yids. That's my opinion about Jesus Christ. That's my opinion about, Jesus as like this Messiah. They use Messiah figures a lot in this reality. They use a lot, and you see this with politicians as well, but you also see this, with spirituality, where they use Messiah figures as a way to control people and to wait 2 more weeks for something to happen so that nobody does anything. And I think that Jesus fits that bill very well whenever it comes to the religious control system that we're experiencing on the planet. And I think that is something that it offends a lot of people, and I think that that's proof that their religious control system is working just fine. Whenever you try to call out the religious control system, people get offended and people get dogmatic and people start quoting stuff, with that sort of appeal to authority fallacy of like, oh no, just wait 2 more weeks and Jesus is going to float down like the Lorax and come and save us. Like, no, these beings have manipulated and tweaked and altered parts of our spirituality to fit their control system, to fit their sort of narrative of what they want us to think. So that is another really big takeaway that I take from this sort of situation, or from this manifesto, right? And another thing too is the fact that you have, like, he talks about how there are multiple species of he talks about how there are 2 main species that he encountered. And these are amphibian humanoid and reptilian humanoid. So basically you have frogs and lizards, or salamanders, frogs, which are the amphibians, and then you have like the snakes or the lizards, which are the reptilian humanoids, which is that is also a very interesting thing that he points out, is that there are multiple species of these sort of reptilian, amphibian, sort of, archon class that is, that is sort of taking control of the planet, right? And I think Kyle Odom was recently released from prison on like parole, I believe. As well, so that is another interesting thing. I hope he's okay. I hope he's not being tortured and being
bro, he's definitely getting fucking tortured. Parole to post falls on March 18th.
Sort of harassed by the Martians. Okay, but
oh my god, he's definitely getting harassed, bro. Someone should talk to him. Why has there been no Kyle Odom interview?